Hey y'all, I'm Dusty, this is Foxholler Homestead. It's time for me to take a deep breath. Temper. And go figure, as soon as I come down to the river, it's called the Raging River, by the way. You can see, it was raging. Well, I was trying to get a few cool shots, and stepped on a rock and slipped and fell in. So, needless to say, that river is cold. Woo! But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit back up in the truck and I'm going to finish the video there. I'm cold. Well, I made it home, as you can see. I'm actually up at the cabin right now, the fox den, and the things that we go through daily, right? So, I guess what brought this video up is, I don't know, there's been a lot of things. It's ups and downs and round. That's typically how my winters go. And a lot of times people have told me that, more times than not, that I have, potentially have seasonal depression or whatever. Because I get more moody, especially in the wintertime. I think there's a lot of different things, many aspects that cause us to do what we do. Maybe it's life experiences, maybe it's genetics. Who really knows? It's really different for everybody else. So I guess the main topic is your temper. And I'm going to speak to a lot of, this also applies to the ladies out there, but I'm going to speak specifically to the men. And the young men, the older men. Temper is anger. It is a feeling, an emotion, I guess you could say, but at the same time, it's toxic. It is horribly toxic. And at the end of the day, there's no really good benefit to it. Now, a lot of guys can lose their temper in a lot of different ways, whether it's angry at work, or angry with their spouse, their children, their circumstances, their friends. The list goes on and on and on. A lot of people can be angry, and they can lose their temper, which, again, it doesn't lead to anything beneficial at all. If you were to ask me, Dusty, what has been your hardest struggle your whole life? What has been your hardest struggle? Honestly, I can tell you that it's my temper. I know that you guys don't see it, and you're like, no way, not Dusty, not Foxholler Homestead, no way. Yeah, it's been my temper my whole life. Ever since I can remember, I've had a terrible, terrible temper. And, it just leads me to doing foolish things. And I honestly believe that over the last couple of years, it's gotten a lot better than what it used to be when I was younger. And I think maybe that comes with age, but it also comes with acknowledging that I even have a temper. It's acknowledging that not only do I have a temper, but where it comes from. I can trace my temper back to a lot of different things. My anger. I think actually anger is where I can trace a lot of it back to. I made a video a while back and talked about addiction, spoke about addiction. And everything is a life choice, right? Everything is a choice, including your temper, your anger. And I feel, honestly, I really feel that, you know, I watched another video here soon, and I related on so many levels. It was this older gentleman, and there's times where I am fine, and there's times where I'm very, very manic, like bouncing off the walls, overly happy. I mean, talk to Regina; she'll even say, I'll be making goofy sounds, and I'll dance around and sing songs, and just a joy to be around. And then there's times where I start to get, I don't know. I feel, honestly, the best thing that I can feel or explain is that I feel like there's a volcano inside of me, and it's just pushing to explode. Now, even during those fun times, it's harder for me, or I still have a lot of the issues from my past that for some reason it's so difficult for me to let it go. It's like I can't get closure. I'm unable to get closure. And this hurts and frustrates me so much. And I'm assuming there's a lot of individuals out there with men, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll take our frustrations and our anger and we'll make a complete ass out of ourselves, and then we shove that stuff down deep, and we make our apologies when needed, and we move on. So the frustration and anger and the tempers, it never gets handled. I'm going to tell you guys something. I also spoke in my video about the addiction that there were some really bad things that happened when I was younger. Now, I've gotten to the point in my life and the point in my personal relationships, family relationships, etc., where I am done with nonsense. I'm done with protecting people. I'm over it. And when I was really young, my mom and I were by ourselves. My dad had left when I was very young, and my mom had ended up marrying again. And this individual, my stepdad, who is still my stepdad to this day, was a raging alcoholic and an amazingly angry, mean person. Horribly mean. I always believed my mom is to be like this butterfly that was so free and so loving and so kind and so humble, and that I never understood. And you know, I remember the day, and I think I was probably about 5, and I still remember this to this day. I remember when they got married. That I believe, and I really don't care about if these people see that anymore. I've expressed my opinions before, and the reason why I'm telling each and every one of you this is because maybe you don't have the exact same scenario, the exact same problem, or the exact same, circumstances, but there's something inside of us that originated somewhere. And I'm explaining to you where it is. I'm making myself vulnerable in hopes that I can share, that someone out there will listen. Someone out there, another man out there that's going through some stuff, will understand and relate. That day that they got married was the first worst day of my life. And that's what I remember at 5 years old. I remember their ceremony happening, and then my cousins, I ended up having to go and stay with my cousins, and I remember looking out the back window and seeing these big white tents. And my mom, who had been my everything, my whole world, he took her away from me. Now, as an adult, I can see a different perspective on that. But as a child, it was horrible. And it got more horrible from there. Like I said, he was a really, really bad alcoholic and a very, very mean, violent person. Very mean to both of us, my mom and myself. And then later on, my mom and my stepdad ended up having my sister. And then they had my brother. And then they had their family. I never actually at any time felt that I belonged in that family. And the problem is I've always been denied that, even when I've said it, that it's just me and I need to pull my pants up and brush myself off and move forward and grow up. I've never felt like I belonged, and I was treated that way as well. And eventually I went to live with my dad, and my dad does not know about this, but I was during a time not too long after that, I was very disgustingly sexually abused by the person he was with, the woman he was with. I was drugged and abused, and that was at 14 years old. That was, like the addiction video, that's where that came from. It was just something I didn't go into then. Long story short, when it came to that, there was nobody that I was going to admit that to. I couldn't. How could I? I was 14 years old. Do you realize that it's not like times now? Anybody that is my age or a little bit older understands that. It's not like these days where everybody, for the most part, it's all good. Everybody can come forward with that. There's always someone there for them. But back in the day, and even a lot of times now, boys don't. That doesn't happen to boys. And if it does, they sure as heck are not going to say anything about it because society deems that not appropriate. Only girls can come and say something. And I knew that. I knew that I wasn't allowed to say anything. Not actually allowed, but you know what I mean. So I went farther into drugs because that was the only thing that numbed my mind and numbed the pain of feeling like I was always abandoned by my mom in this piece of crap and their new family. And then to come to this situation and this to happen. And it just progressively got worse. So when it comes down to it, there's so many other aspects from that point forward that led to further anger. But I always remember I went to counseling. My mom and Alex, my mom and my stepdad, they sent me to a psychologist or whatever the heck it was, child psychologist when I was younger, because I had amazingly bad anger problems. Go figure. It was always me. It was never the environment that I was in. It was never what was being imposed on me. It was never my mom that wouldn't do anything. It was never my mom wouldn't protect me. It was always just me. I'm the one that had the anger problem. And this carries with me, along with the abuse. It carries with me. And I've gone through cognitive behavioral therapy, a super duper therapy. I did it for over a year. And that was the first time that I came out about the abuse. And I told my mom, and I told my stepdad, and I still have not told my dad, because that's where it happened. He didn't know anything about it. He still doesn't. And I think that there's certain situations where it's better just to hold it back from certain people. But the reason I told my mom and my stepdad was because they always acted so clueless as to why I had such a bad anger problem, why I got into drugs, why did I do this, why did I do that. And you know, the sad part is that when I initially told them, I left out so many things, and I took it all upon myself. Instead of telling them exactly how I felt about the abandonment, about watching my stepdad's anger against my mom and me, and the abuse and all of that, I kept all that secret again. You know why I did that? To protect them, to protect my mom. You know why? Because deep down I knew she would never take responsibility for it. Neither would he. It's always been my fault. Whew. To each and every man and boy and whoever watches this video, even women out there, you don't have to deal with that. When it comes to anger, when it comes to a temper, there's got to be a day where you recognize it, and you probably have 100 times already, and you regret it every time you finally shut your mouth and stop your little thing that you're doing. You stop and think to yourself, man, again. I don't like regretting things, but I regret my temper. I regret my anger. And I regret that I projected on anybody. Now, understand, when I'm talking about this, I'm not physically abusive, so please understand that. That's not a thing. That was something that was literally whooped into me. You don't do that. But just screaming and yelling and cussing and slamming doors. There's times where I just feel like it rules me, like I literally have no control over it. And then I have to humble myself and walk with my tail between my legs and go apologize to the people that I hurt. And I don't want to do that anymore. Not the apology part, but I don't even want to get to the point where I have to apologize. Each and every one of us has something, especially if you know what I'm talking about right now. If you know about that you have an anger problem, you have a temper, a snappy temper. You get irritated and the smallest things set you off, or maybe it's a succession of things over a few days, and it just gets to the point where you were not able to release or express yourself in any way, and instead I'm so used to shoving it down that I finally get to the point where I blow up, or you blow up, and then I'm right back to the beginning. It's my fault again. Like I said, these last couple of years, I am tenfold better than how I used to be, which is saying something huge. But I'm not there yet. Now, as far as a one size, or the miraculous answer to how you stop your temper, how you stop your anger, how you control that, I don't have an answer for that. I really don't. Other than every day. Now, one of the things that on this video that I watched, he said, I'm not even going to go in, I'll paraphrase and I'll end up ruining it. It'll sound goofy. But basically, you know the saying, the elephant in the room? I've got one on my shoulders. And it's about, no, I'm not even going to say, because he was talking about eating an elephant, and he made it sound really cool. But if I start talking about eating an elephant, you guys are going to be like, you got more issues than just anger. Oh, anyway, it's one step at a time. There is no one-time fix, and then tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be like, yay! Double rainbow. If I could have just clicked my heels 3 times and wore some of Regina's sparkly red heels, shoot. Anyway, it is, but it still hurts. That anger and that pain and that sadness and that little boy inside of me is still there. And it doesn't seem that I can take enough therapy or talk. It's hard. I've yet to be able to find someone that... I've talked to Regina 100,000 times about this, and she is 100% supportive. She has her own things, but I just don't know. I don't know. But I'm going to keep on working on it. And I suggest each and every one of you out there, in our society these days, men have the highest suicide rate. And it's very, very sad. It's very sad because you got a lot of guys out there, especially in this society where they're made out to be toxic masculinity, or I don't even know what that means, but boys are now encouraged not to be boys. They're encouraged not to be men. And that's a sad thing. And there's depression, there's so many different things that are leading to this suicide rate. But it's 3 times more than women are. And any suicide is bad. That's bad news. There's no redemption from that. But this anger and this pain and sadness and hurt and everything under the sun that we hold inside of us is not helping. We need somebody to talk to. We need ways to release this. That's where my anger comes from. Like I don't have control over myself. Like there's still a huge part of my heart missing. And I recently wrote my mom a letter expressing basically everything that I just expressed here. And I got a response. And that response was, man up. Take responsibility for my own shit. It's not her fault. it's nobody's fault, and whatever. Anyway, I've got nothing but love and blessings. And when I say that, I really mean it. I know you guys that have been around for a long time know that. But I really mean it. And sometimes this is more of a therapy, talking to my telephone, than paying some person $100-something an hour for them to be, well, try this exercise. Just try this exercise. Just go out and hug a tree. I already hug trees, okay? I'd rather go hug a tree than talk to you. Trees are way cooler than people. Excuse me. Anyway, I love you guys. I really do. I send nothing but blessings to each one of you and your families. And until next time, please keep your heads up. Move forward. Tomorrow is a good day. And before I leave, one thing that I have found that works a little bit is before I get out of bed in the morning, as soon as my alarm goes off, I shut it off and I roll back over and I do my prayers. And I am so thankful for all the things that I have and where I am in my life. And I've noticed that there's a few times I've forgotten, and it's like getting up on the wrong side of the bed. And I really try and do it before I go to sleep, but my main point right now is do it right when you right when you wake up. Anyhow, we'll see you soon. I'm Dusty. This is Fox Holler Homestead. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.